everyone, I'm Laura Papetti. Thanks for joining us here on a KREM 2 News report. We are tracking, of course, the fires that are burning throughout our region, specifically the Upriver Fire that has displaced thousands of people and destroyed homes. We are talking about the fire, of course, that is burning in northern Spokane and into Spokane Valley. But I do want to take a moment and let you know we are expecting a media conference coming up sometime very soon. Authorities told us it would be around 1 o'clock, but as you can see from this live video that we're showing you right now near a command post near that fire, again, we're talking about the Beacon Hill fire, the Upriver Fire that spread yesterday throughout northeast Spokane and into Spokane Valley, and they are getting set up right now. We do have a crew on the scene, so we will be taking that and streaming that live here in just a few moments as soon as they get set. And we're hoping to get so many questions answered as we are now past 24 hours really, or around 24-hour mark into this fire. Do want to take a few minutes to recap what we know at this point, as we have been following this fire since it broke out yesterday afternoon and displaced again thousands of people because those evacuation orders do remain in place. So if we could take a moment here, we will certainly take a look at some of the video and pictures we have of that fire as we talk about some of the numbers. We were told by fire officials that the fire evacuations displaced about 12,000 people, or impacted about 12,000 people. And we also know that homes have been destroyed during this fire. However, as of just a short time ago during KREM 2 News at noon, we were told by the Department of Natural Resources that they do not have a number that they can release right now of the homes that have been damaged or destroyed by the fire. They are, of course, working that fire. It is very active right now. And so we are hoping to get, again, a better idea, a handle on some of the numbers about how many homes were directly damaged or ruined by that fire. One of the things they did tell us about it is that it did not forward progress throughout the night and that they are starting to get some containment on it. So we are going to go live to that press conference right now, again, at a command center, and listen in as we get some answers, hopefully, to the Upriver Fire, what's happening right now, how many homes have been damaged or destroyed. Let's listen in.
As you know, we were the first arriving agency yesterday when the incident was dispatched a little after 12 o'clock. As it escalated as a wind-driven fire, we had multiple agencies throughout Spokane County come in and assist us. Multiple fire, multiple law enforcement agencies. Early on in the incident, we had a very coordinated effort with law enforcement, heavy presence with the sheriff's office, as well as city PD and state patrol to do an evacuation. As you know, this is many of you have been up there. This is a very populated area, densely populated area, an urban area. We were faced with a very serious immediate evacuation of several thousand residences, both primary and secondary residences, and thousands of residents who live in those homes up there. I give a lot of credit and a big tip of the hat to the law enforcement who was there to support us. Then we brought in DNR support, air support, ground support, to help us get some resources on the ground and get this fire to get around the fire and get the fire to a better state, as we said yesterday. Wind-driven fire takes a lot of resources, and our life safety and property conservation was our main goal. We're still under an evacuation. We're not letting anyone back into that immediate area. We're still under that evacuation that we had. We have not lifted that yet. We'll be reevaluating that this afternoon, and we'll give you an update. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to a great partner here in Spokane County, Sheriff John Knowles.
Thank you, Chief. Before I get into the details that I want to talk about, I don't want to forget to thank the men and women in the fire service and the men and women in law enforcement who responded to this emergency. Unfortunately, this community has had to learn firsthand now for the second time in 3 years just how dangerous these fires are at any time, but particularly when they occur in heavily populated areas. If you've never experienced fire in that kind of a setting when it's being pushed by high winds, it is extremely dangerous, and I'm very proud of the way our firefighters and our law enforcement moved into those areas, at their own personal risk to help get in and get notifications made to our citizens to tell them that they were in danger and that they needed to leave. I bring this up because largely we get compliance from a lot of our citizens and they leave or don't come across our lines. But unfortunately, we have far too many people who either don't recognize that danger or ignore it to come in and accomplish whatever it is they intend to accomplish. So I want to thank the citizens who listened to our orders and stayed out of the area or left. That's important for us to preserve people's lives, and these fires are an immediate threat to people's lives, even if it's not readily apparent. And I think as we go through the aftermath of recovering from this fire, the lessons learned will be that people could have been a lot more compliant with fires orders, law enforcement orders, and it could have made a difference. I will say that we contacted over 1,500 residents individually in the first 4 hours of this incident, and probably over 400 people were evacuated after we knocked on their door and told them it wasn't safe to be there anymore. I will say that just because you're in your home and a fire's close but you can't see it or you don't see anything burning right near you does not mean that can't change in a moment's notice. It very much can and did yesterday. So as far as what I would ask the public going forward, we have had an overwhelming number of requests for people to go back into their homes to recover necessary medications. What I would ask, after spending 3 hours of my day this morning helping people get to their homes, please make sure that you are only going in to get medications that you absolutely need for the next 24 to 36 hours. There are over probably 45 people who have been sitting on the side of the road waiting to be escorted in, and I want to make sure that we are not taking the very limited resources we have to do these escorts to take people in for things that are not critical right now. It is for the people who actually have critical needs. It's making them wait longer to get what they need, and it is taxing the resources we have to do that. I would also ask that people still honor the roadblocks that we have up. It is not safe to go in there until the firefighters tell us it's safe to do so. Our community has been great. I'm working with my deputy director of the Department of Emergency Management to now start setting up what will be the phases that come after this scene is safe, as far as the Disaster Assistance Center and getting all the resources set up for the folks who unfortunately lost their homes and helping them get on the path to recovery. So those steps are already being taken. You will get more information shortly about where the Disaster Assistance Center will be. It will likely be here at this location within the next day or two for citizens who are wondering about what comes next. And there is a lot that comes next as far as helping people recover from this disaster. We have lost residences and people have lost their homes, and that's important for us to help people get back up on their feet and figure out ways to go about life, starting this afternoon. So with that, I don't know if you have any questions. Yes.
You said something about how if people had complied, it would have made a bigger difference. Can you ban on that, or injuries or deaths or anything along those lines?
So in general, when we have people who aren't complying with our orders, we have cars that are going in and out. We have some people coming in to just look around and spectate, for a lack of a better term, and it gets in the way of what our firefighters are trying to do. We have to try to stay out of the way of the firefighters as much as possible, because they are doing the critical work to stop fires from spreading. Of course, if people decide they want to stay in shelter in place, that does create risk for them. We've had a lot of people come to the shelter in the last 24 hours saying we can't get a hold of family members. And what we have asked them to do is call Crime Check, make a missing persons report, and we'll see what we can do. We have detectives who are assigned to following those up to see if we can find where people are. As you can imagine, people leave their homes in a hurry. They don't take their phone chargers with them, things like that. Phones die, and it can make it difficult to locate people.
So there are missing persons reports.
We do have missing persons report, and I will say we do have a missing persons report that was reported by a family member. We do have a place that we are going to look for that person, but unfortunately right now that scene is not safe enough for firefighters or law enforcement to search right now. And that's really all the information I have that would be anywhere near accurate as of this moment. So,
in terms of access to these areas that are evacuated right now, you were saying earlier it's only if they need something critical like medication. Earlier we were at a roadblock where they were just kind of letting people through as long as they showed their ID with their address. What are the rules, just to be consistent and clear what the rules are?
My expectation is, and what we have been operating under is if they have necessary medications that they need to go get out of the house, or something else that might threaten immediate life, that's the priority. We all know that we would like to be able to get into our homes and get belongings that we feel are valuable, or they just want to check the status of their home. It is not safe enough for people to be in there for that kind of stuff. So again, I ask, if you need something that is critical to you sustaining life, or you cannot get those medications anywhere else and they are necessary, we will do everything we can. And it's a long wait. I know we've had people spending hours waiting on the side of the road at these access points. We have also had a handful of people who have just driven right around our roadblocks, and that is absolutely unacceptable. Because then we have to take the resources we have dedicated to getting people the resources they need and go address people who aren't following the rules.
And you said you're reconsidering the evacuation orders this afternoon, right?
My understanding is that fire is going to reassess the fire danger at 2 o'clock this afternoon.
Thank you.
Do you have an update on injury or death reports as of right now?
No, not at all. Not an update.
And do you have any update on the number of homes that are suspected to be damaged or lost?
So I don't know what the latest number is. I was advised last night that it was 15 homes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
And we're getting some reports of looting in some of the neighborhoods. Do you have any response or information about potential looting?
Yeah. What I will say is we have had very good perimeter security since the fire began, and of course we are there looking for that kind of activity. I know that there were some calls last night as darkness came about that people were suspecting folks of looting, but I have not heard of any reports where anybody was contacted or arrested over that kind of incident.
And can you describe the security that's in place around the fire perimeter?
So at any potential access point, we have law enforcement or law enforcement volunteers blocking the roads there, and you can see them as you drive around the perimeter. Now, of course, this being, not necessarily a rural area, but there are rural access points that if people were motivated to, they could get in there. And I would say if you're a citizen and you see people trying to get in there, see something, say something, call law enforcement, call 911, call Crime Check, and report it, and that way we can address that immediately.
But just to be clear, no reports of looting as of yet?
Not that I'm aware of.
Just to be clear, there were no firefighter law enforcement injuries right now?
None. Worried. Any other questions?
Did we miss anything?
I would say that it's been reiterated here, those evacuation orders are in place for a reason. our priority, our top priority, is the safety of our neighbors, but also the safety of our firefighters. So if you are under that evacuation order, please heed that order. Please leave. We need to get those firefighting apparatus in and out. We need to get personnel in and out. It's not just for your safety, it's for the safety of our firefighters. So when you do have those evacuation orders, please do evacuate.
I do have one more for either DNR or fire district. Have you run into any problems with civilians using things like drones, or are these affecting airspace usage, like with the air units coming in?
We have not, but we do have an advisory out to not use any drones or any type of aerial interference in that area. So that remains in effect. We know we're close to Feltz Field as well, so working closely with Feltz Field as well to make sure that there isn't any interference. But if you can continue to get that message out for us, we'd appreciate that.
Chief NC, I know Mr. Gray mentioned it, but could you just speak to people are coming in to be able to evaluate their homes? I think a couple of people just to see, they're being let in just to see if there's damage to their homes, being escorted in. Could you speak to that really quickly? You just mentioned it prior to the press conference. I just wanted to get that on the record. If you're able to share some of that information.
As the sheriff mentioned, the priority is for folks to get in and get medications, get priority items and utilize that time to get those priority items. If they're able to get a vantage point on their house, on their home, then they have that opportunity as our PIO has mentioned. But the priority is to get those priority items and allow for others to get in and get their medications or anything they may need.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have one question myself. I was at the evacuation center over at the United Methodist Church in the Valley, and you said that this building is going to be available for those who need to be evacuated. Can you just give some more details if you know what's going to be provided here and when it will be open and for how long?
So I want to be very clear. This is not going to be designated for an evacuation center. This is going to be likely the site for our disaster assistance center, which is where you can come in and have access to the assessor's office, the building and planning office for the county, so people can start the long-term recovery.
Thank you.
Thank you.
To a media conference being held at a command post near the Upriver Fire, hearing from both the fire chief with Fire District 9, Spokane County Fire District 9, and from the sheriff as well, Spokane County, and talking about a couple of different things that we want to make note of as they just wrap things up. Something we just learned that is of utmost concern is that folks obviously having a hard time connecting with family members yesterday, but there is still, according to the sheriff, one active missing persons report that they are trying to follow up on. One of the things the sheriff mentioned is getting to the area or the home where that person may or may not be, they said right now, is not safe. And so they are working to do what they can to follow up on that missing persons report to see where that family member may be. Obviously, family very, very concerned. So that is some new information, again, coming from the sheriff regarding the Upriver Fire. Also, we have been talking about that homes were heavily damaged or destroyed in that fire. Hadn't really been given a number at this point of what we're talking about. The sheriff said, again, as of last night, he believed about 15 homes potentially caught in that fire, destroyed or heavily damaged in that fire. But again, they continue to do more work in finding out an exact number, but about 15 is a number that we have after this media conference that just went on again. I don't know if we have a time here or an option to take a look at some of the video and some of the pictures from the fire as I give some more information that just came out of that media report where both the fire chief working that fire, as well as the sheriff, were taking questions from the local media that have been, of course, on scene for the past, now day, about 24 hours since that fire began. One of the things that the sheriff really talked quite a bit about and wanted to really get the message out was they had to do a lot of extra work to get people that didn't want to evacuate to go ahead and evacuate. And he really wanted to tell people that when there's an evacuation order, to try to heed that it may not look like it's that close, or you may not be that concerned, but it does take resources from them if they are trying to get people to evacuate in what is a very dangerous situation. One of the things he also mentioned was they are taking people back into the homes when they can to get critical medication, and that they have people who are waiting for an escort for hours, and that he made note that some people are using that as a way to get in to see their home or to see their property, and really wanted to stress to people that if you need critical medication, you had to evacuate quickly. They are doing what they can to connect people with someone to escort them into their neighborhood and get those medications. They understand that people, when they got word that they needed to evacuate, or maybe they were never allowed back in because they were gone at work or at school and were not able to get back into their homes, they're trying to get people connected with those medications. It is always something the Red Cross talks quite a bit about, that if you don't have time to get really anything else, to grab those medications, because if they are critical to your health, they are not optional. So they are working on that and trying to get people into that area. They said they are going to look at the evacuation orders likely later today. Right now, those evacuations remain in place. We had been looking at that evacuation map for hours now. It has not changed since yesterday, late afternoon, early evening, but they have, it's a huge swath of neighborhoods that are under those evacuation orders. That continues to hold at this time right now because, again, while they have gotten the fire where it's not making a forward progression, it is still a very active scene, a very dangerous situation. We're lucky at this point winds have died down since what we saw yesterday, of course, but nonetheless, it is an active situation, and they are continuing to hold those evacuation orders for now. They said likely later this afternoon they will take a look at those and then make some decisions on whether or not they are able to lift that and allow people back in. They said some people are choosing to drive around the blockades, and that is not acceptable for them. It takes resources for them to go get people, and they said every time someone does that, they understand people are very concerned about getting to their homes or to the property, but when people do that, it takes critical resources. And we heard the fire chief really talk about how labor intensive a fire like this really is, especially when it's so wind driven, because that was driving that fire so quickly and driving it towards homes so quickly that, number one, they are concerned about loss of life, and so they have to make sure that people get out as safely as possible, and then obviously turn their attention to making sure they can do what they can to save homes. But again, the sheriff saying he knew of about 15 homes heavily damaged or destroyed in the fire from last night, but waiting to get some new numbers with that. And again, hearing today, I believe it's the first time we've heard this, that there is a missing persons report related to the fire, or someone that family members are concerned about, and that it is still too dangerous for fire crews to get to where they want to go to verify if someone is located in that fire area. So yesterday we saw a lot of families very concerned for their loved ones, people people, when they get evacuated, as the sheriff talked about, maybe don't grab their phone or don't grab a charger, and then they end up getting separated from family members and not being able to connect. So there were some very, very frightening moments and hours for families that we heard about last night. But again, at this point, one missing persons report that is of great concern to a family and to law enforcement that are working on it. One of the other things we heard about, and we started to hear last night, there were some unconfirmed reports of potential looting and people concerned, obviously, about having to leave their homes, and that was something that was brought up during the media conference. And the sheriff said they had heard, people talking about that, but they have no confirmed reports of any looting, and that they do have security set up around the perimeter of the fire. Now, in some areas, he said there's some uncontrolled entry points. There are some homes in a more rural setting where people could get in, but they said they do have security that they immediately put into place so that folks, their homes would be protected. Their number one focus right now is making sure that they keep people out of that area so fire crews can continue to do their work. And in fact, the sheriff himself saying law enforcement has to stay out of the way of fire crews because they are doing that heavy lift of fighting that fire in the moment for protection of lives and homes and property. So he is just asking everyone, there is sort of that curiosity factor that sometimes brings people into the area of a fire or some sort of disaster. And he said that is not helpful. It can take up space and resources away from both firefighters and law enforcement when they're in those critical moments and trying to do what they can to protect life and property. So to recap a couple of things, the fire has not made forward progression in the last several hours. It did not overnight, but it is still a very active scene. They still have fire crews doing that hard work of trying to contain that fire. So they are asking people again to stay out, to abide by all the evacuation orders. As of now, they'll reassess those evacuation orders later today. They are working on a missing persons report related to the fire. They said it's extremely dangerous to get into where they would like to go to check out that report. They are aware of it and they are working on that. Of course, some very concerned family members. And again, the sheriff's saying as of last night and last report for him, about 15 homes heavily damaged, potentially destroyed in that fire, but he did not have a more recent number. Of fire crews have been telling us they are in the moment fighting the fire still, and that they have crews from all over the region, all over the state that have come to help. We're talking about local, state, federal crews that are working this fire. It is the Upriver Fire, started on Beacon Hill. We don't have any confirmation on what started the fire, only that, of course, investigation is underway, and right now they are working on getting up a center set up to help people connect with resources. They hope to have that done in the next day or so. But we will keep you updated on the KREM 2 app, on KREM.com, and always on KREM 2. And we will see you back here on the app or on KREM 2 News at 4.